Welcome to Heroes Trek. I want to do a series of deep dives on Superman, the Man of Steel. The miniseries that John Byrne started off, of course, and revamped everything after Crisis on Infinite Earths, but also the series that John Byrne did and what he brought to Superman's lore. That you can feel the impact of that even now with the modern stories. Though a lot of the stuff has been retconned, there's still that DNA and some elements that still have survived to this day, almost 40 plus years later. This is the Man of Steel special edition volume issue number one. Love that 75-cent cover price. The legend begins. Of course, this miniseries was a six-part miniseries written by John Byrne with artwork by Byrne as well as inks by Dick Giordano. Each of the issues had two covers, and there's a variant cover. And it actually starts off with Krypton, and a reimagining of Krypton as a sterile world where love is not felt and babies are gestated outside of the womb. In it, you have Jor-El, who has, of course, advised the Science Council that the mantle of the planet is turning radioactive and soon the planet will explode, and filling in Lara that he's going to send their only son away to another planet. Of course, all the while admitting that he has felt something that has not been felt on Krypton for decades, if not centuries, and that's the feeling of love, as they bid farewell to their son Kal-El, who's rocketed to Earth, with a piece of kryptonite embedded in the rocket, which will come in to play later on in the main Superman series following the miniseries. Smallville is different as well. Clark is not a nerd. He's actually an athlete, a star football player, celebrated by all of his fellow classmates. And that doesn't sit well with Pa, as he feels like as Clark is developing these abilities, he should not be using them for personal gain. Of course, he reveals at this point that Clark is an adopted son, and goes into some of the history as to how they found him in that rocket ship. In the ensuing years where his powers develop, especially this mystery here with the stranger watching them throughout this, that comes into play and is revealed not in this miniseries, but later on in the Superman regular series. The second part of this chapter 2 is called Exposure. And this is where you have Clark as, just not Superman yet, but doing all these sorts of mystery saves, saving people, kind of holding things, kind of without being seen, so to speak, until he can't avoid it, saves a space plane with Lois on it. And of course, this classic scene where Clark comes back and said, "They wanted a piece of me, Pa. They all wanted a piece of me." He goes through this and realizes that he needs to create an identity. And of course, the epilogue was the superhero, where Ma Kent sews the costume. And in a change, this is not a symbol of hope or anything like that. At this time, it's just a symbol that Clark and Pa Kent came up with. And then you have Superman flying off into the sky to begin his journey. That's issue number one. We'll continue with issue number 2.